story. The first story my father told me and the first story that I told each of you. In the beginning, there was nothing. Nothing but the silence of an infinite darkness. But the breath of the Creator fluttered against the face of the void, whispering, "Let there be light." And light was. And it was good. The first day. And then the formless light began to take on substance and shape. The second day. And our world was born. Our beautiful, fragile home. And a great warming light nurtured its days. And a lesser light ruled the nights. And there was evening and morning. Another day. And the waters of the world gathered together. And in their midst emerged dry land. Another day passed. And the ground put forth the growing things, a thick blanket of green stretching across all creation. And the waters, too, teemed with life. Great creatures of the deep that are no more. Vast multitudes of fish, some of which may still swim beneath these seas. And soon, the sky was streaming with birds. And there was evening, and there was morning, a fifth day. Now the whole world was full of living beings. Everything that creeps, everything that crawls, and every beast that walks upon the ground. And it was good. It was all good. There was light, and air, and water, and soil, all clean and unspoiled. Your plants and fish, and fowl and beast, each after their own kind, all part of the greater whole, all in their place, and all was in balance. It was paradise, the jewel in the Creator's palm. And the Creator made man, and by his side woman, father and mother of us all. He gave them a choice. Follow the temptation of darkness, or hold on to the blessing of light. But they ate from the forbidden fruit. Their innocence was extinguished. And so for the 10 generations since Adam, sin has walked within us. Brother against brother. Nation against nation. Man against creation. We murdered each other. We broke the world. We did this. Man did this. Everything that was beautiful, everything that was good, we shattered. Now, it begins again.
Man was created sinless. Adam and Eve were created sinless in paradise. But this does not mean that they were not created with the inability to sin. They were not created incapable of sinning. The tendency was not in their nature. We may say the tendency to sin did not exist in man at his creation. But it was within his power, within his will, within his choice. Man was created with free will, free choice. He was created with the ability to choose, to strive towards closer union with God, strive to greater perfection, or to choose disobedience, to turn away from God and embrace disobedience. Man was created with this choice. He was given the choice because God created us that we would give our free will back in obedience to God. Evil itself is really a violation of God's laws. We may see evil as this violation disobedience to the will of God.
Well, imagine seeing your husband, brother, or father brutally killed by religious fanatics. That's what happened to many families when ISIS executed 21 Egyptian Christians in February. While the horrible video led to worldwide outrage, some families are happy that the martyrs kept their faith. And as Gary Lane found out, they're ready to forgive.
I was very proud that my husband stood firm in his faith and that he didn't deny Jesus.
That surprising reaction is happening 150 miles south of Cairo, in the village of El Aour. Residents there honor the sacrifice of 21 Egyptians brutally murdered last February by ISIS. Their pictures are prominently displayed in the sanctuary of Virgin Mary Church. 13 attended this church. The martyrs left behind family members, like 23-year-old Mariam Farhat. She became a widow when the militants beheaded her husband Malik Ibrahim in Libya. She first learned of his murder when she saw this now infamous video on local television.
We were very sad for the first 2 days, but we hadn't seen the video. When we saw them in the video calling to Jesus, we were very comforted.
And that's why Miriam and other families say they are now joyful, not sad. Babawi Alham's brother Samuel was among those killed.
We were always praying that God would make them steadfast in their faith. We were very happy with what they said on the video, Jesus Christ, have mercy on us. When we found out they had been killed for being Christian, we were very comforted because these were God's children and He took them.
Although Samuel's wife and children now live without a husband and father, his family told CBN News their faith is stronger. They forgive the jihadists and even pray for ISIS.
I pray for them that God may open their heart and they may know the truth and know that what they do is wrong and then do the right thing. Jesus told us to forgive every sin, and we forgive them, and we hope that they can come to know Jesus.
Back in the United States, there's a growing movement among Christians there to demonstrate unity and solidarity with those who are suffering for Christ in the Middle East.
Miriam was encouraged after she viewed cell phone photos of Americans wearing orange.
May the Lord make their love grow and grow. We are very happy with their love. We don't deserve their love.
Mahoney says every 5 minutes around the world a Christian is killed for his faith.
People don't understand the kind of barbarism and brutality they are going through. And you know, when I visit persecuted Christians in the Middle East, there's one thing they always ask. It doesn't matter if it's Iraq, Syria, wherever it might be, it's this. Please remember us. It's to remind our brothers and sisters that we love them and we're standing with them, and to remind decision makers here in America and across the globe, the free nations of the world, we cannot be silent on this issue.
Miriam also has a message for others who have suffered or still face danger from ISIS.
Don't be sad or cry. God will support us all. He will fulfill His promise that He is the Father of the orphans and the widows.
If the world hates you, just remember that it has hated me first. If you belong to the world, then the world would love you as its own. But I chose you from this world, and you do not belong to it. That is why the world hates you. Remember what I told you. Slaves are not greater than their master. If people persecuted me, they will persecute you too. If they obeyed my teaching, they will obey yours too. But they will do all this to you because you are mine. For they do not know the one who sent me. They would not have been guilty of sin if I had not come and spoken to them. As it is, they no longer have any excuse for their sin. Whoever hates me, hates my Father also. They would not have been guilty of sin if I had not done among them the things that no one else ever did. As it is, they have seen what I did, and they hate both me and my Father. This, however, was bound to happen, so that what is written in their law may come true. They hated me for no reason at all.
As Christians, we are not to love the world. Christ warns us of the evils of this world, yes, to identify them, but also to help us refrain from loving the things of this world. So our hearts must not be filled with love for the world. And when we say the world, of course, we're talking about the philosophies, the temptations, the evils of this world that separate us from God, not just the trees and the fields and the mountains. The world, the flesh, and the devil, they will rob us of our salvation. We have to turn away from these temptations. We do so, of course, by being obedient. We must learn to be obedient in times of peace, so that we can be obedient in war. In the 21st chapter of the Gospel of St. Luke, Christ is described setting out to us the signs that we are to look for that will mark the end of this world, the coming to an end of this world. And already there are things that we're beginning to see. Already there's great distress on earth, and there is something in the air, a sense that things are moving quickly. We ought to be watchful, to be careful, because Christ says we must not be comfortable in this world. This is not our home, and if we grow comfortable and have a false security of the things of this world, we will become spiritually lazy. So let us turn away from the false comforts and securities that this world offers. Christ comes to every man, every one of us, in humility. He will come in power and glory. Right now we have freedom. He gives us free will to accept or reject him when he offers himself to us in humility. This free will be taken from us at judgment. The only way we can prepare ourselves to meet Christ when he comes in glory is to receive him now when he comes in humility. To receive him into our hearts. We are to be ready through submission. We must submit to everything that he instructs us and commands us to do. To be separate to this world. St. James says to us, anyone who would seek to be a friend of this world makes himself an enemy of God.
When the Sex Pistols said there is no future, like in punk rock there really is no future. There's no future, and that's a really depressing thing to be living for.
This is Death to the World. It's so punk. The text and images are cut out and pasted by hand onto each page, like patches on a denim jacket. But Death to the World is not a punk magazine, it's Christian Orthodox. Death to the World was started by Justin Marlar, one of the founding members of the metal band Sleep. He converted to Orthodoxy, quit the band after their first album, and became a monk. He and some other former metalheads and punk rockers tried to place an ad for their monastery in the magazine Maximum Rock and Roll, but the magazine didn't want to run it. So they started their own zine, called it Death to the World, and took out an ad for the zine instead. The zine got passed around and suddenly started indoctrinating a totally new kind of recruit into Orthodoxy. Punks.
When I was young, there was something about the world to me that was very fake and false. I started looking into punk rock music and getting really involved in a punk rock scene that was really prevalent in Southern California. I don't know that if you asked me at a punk show in 2002 if I could really pin down that I was looking for truth above all other things. Looking at it now, I can say that I definitely was.
This is John Valadez. He's a deacon in the Christian Orthodox Church, but before that he was a punk. That is, until someone brought him a box full of issues of Death to the World.
We are all imprisoned by our own minds. We are Western prisoners.
Utter destruction after the bomb drops.
Modern man tied his life. Beauty for the perverse. Reality for the virtual. And his very being for the plastic robotic age that can
It's a zine to inspire truth-seeking and soul-searching amidst the modern age of nihilism and despair, promoting the ancient principles of the last true rebellion, to be dead to this world and alive to the other world.
Death to the World stopped printing after its 12th issue. It faded away in 1998. Deacon John kept the faith, though. He got baptized and dedicated his life to the church. He also got the blessing from the abbot of the monastery that had started Death to the World to bring it back. And now he's running the magazine. With the help of a group of others who were baptized at the same time, they picked the magazine back up, started publishing online, and are self-funding it by selling t-shirts. Really cool t-shirts. Now, for its 25th issue, John wants to start printing Death to the World again, with the hope that other kids can stumble across a copy and find rebellion in the Word of God.
I feel people have become more disconnected in a way that I think when the zine first started in the 90s, there was this spirit of rebellion in the air, and that dictated a lot of the voices of the editors and things like that. Now we come to a point in time where there's not really any kind of movement spiritually in a lot of arenas. Almost like a, well, I don't really care type of a thing. When the Sex Pistols said there is no future, like in punk rock, there really is no future. There's no future. Orthodoxy teaches that there is a future, and it's something great to live for.